What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another edition of the Changeup here on the network. We break down everything Major League Baseball has to offer. Our first, I guess, quote unquote, off-season show. We had the World Series wrap up. This one, we're obviously going to be switching gears, talking about some of the early signings that have come through, and of course, the awards that were announced this week. To help me break it down, as always, is my co-host, Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12 on Twitter. How you doing today?
Mentally tired. I'm mentally exhausted, but I'm getting through it.
Yeah. It's the beginning of the off season, obviously the long wait. Look, if you're a football fan, basketball fan, you'll have that to carry you over. But yeah, it's going to be a little tough. And, there's also that elephant in the room of 11 days. We have a possibility of, a labor stoppage in 11 days. No news will be coming out other than labor negotiations. There will be no free agent signings. There will be no real actual news other than financial talks. So hopefully that will get figured out. Although if you've heard some of the whispers out there, even the most optimistic people have to feel a little down right now. But we're not going to focus on that just yet. Instead, as I said, we'll talk about some of the free agents that have signed up already and the awards coming up. And we will start in Anaheim, where I don't know, but I'd love to hear how Bryanna feels about the Angels really wasting absolutely no time in doing what I think both of us expected them and wanted them to do, and go out and get some pitching. They go out and get Noah Syndergaard. Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the Angels bringing in Thor?
I mean, I thought he would have stayed with the Mets, but I mean, I'm happy for this because Ohtani needs help. He can't pitch every day while he's hitting. We will get to Ohtani later. But no, Syndergaard is signing a 1-year deal worth $21 million. The Mets did extend a 1-year qualifying offer for next year, but he did reject it. And the Mets are going to receive draft pick compensation for Syndergaard going to the Angels. But again, we needed the pitching help. Please get rid of Quintana.
Yeah. Well, and that's the difference, right? I mean, and this might not be it. There could possibly be more. Now, once again, the impending possible lockout may complicate further free agent signings, but I mean, you just brought it up. Last year, their crown jewel, or their best free agent pickup, was Jose Quintana. No matter what your thoughts are on Noah Syndergaard is light years ahead of Jose Quintana. And I think for the Angels, look, $21 million over 1 year for a guy who's pitched 2 innings over the last 2 years. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, but it's 1 year. It's a 1-year deal. I mean, if it doesn't quite go as planned, hopefully it doesn't. But even then, this is a guy who, at the trade deadline, if the Angels are scuffling, this is a guy they could, flip, and somebody will want Noah Syndergaard down the stretch if he is made available and is healthy. I think the Angels a great pickup here. And as you said, it just takes a little bit of pressure off of Shohei Ohtani, because right now I think Shohei can kind of take a step back. And if everything goes as planned, I think Noah Syndergaard is the ace of that staff now, just because of the fact that he is that full-time pitcher and he can be that stopper. Shohei sometimes, look, Shohei, as fantastic as he is, there are going to be some outings on the mound where he struggles just because of the fact that he's tired. He's playing 4 or 5 days, playing in the field, or, batting, pretty much 162 62 games a year. It's going to catch up to him, but Syndergaard will always be fresh if he stays healthy. Really excited to see how that helps the Angels in a division that, I think is going to be wide open. We'll get closer to that when the season gets there. But moving on to another free agent signing, it is Eduardo Rodriguez signing with the Detroit Tigers. This is a big surprise on a lot of levels. First of all, that the Tigers going out and spending some money, and Eduardo Rodriguez getting $77 million over 5 years. This is a pitcher who hasn't had an ERA under 3.8 in the 5 years he's pitched with Boston. Did win 19 games 2 years ago in 2019, but he still had an ERA of 3.85, which is about average, and 5 years, 77 million. Hey, it's not my money, so I'm not going to, judge too much, but it's definitely a hefty chunk of change for a pitcher that I think at best is a number 3. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts on Eduardo Rodriguez signing with the Detroit Tigers?
I mean, I think it's kind of, we're going to talk about the dirty cheaters in a minute. I think it's the same case for them where they are having hope in these pitchers, even though they haven't done well in the past. But again, Detroit kind of needs just a little bit of help. Like, look, they aren't the worst pitching staff, but they aren't the best pitching staff. So if any pickup that they get that can possibly help them is good, in my opinion.
I agree. And they have a situation now. I think Miguel Cabrera's contract comes off the books in a year or two. When that contract comes off the books, they're going to essentially have, all the money in the world, or as much money as they can have at their disposal at one time. They have, in my mind, I believe the best young starting pitching in baseball, at least coming up. Tariq Skubal, oh goodness gracious, Casey Mize, and there's I think it's Matt Manning. There's a good amount of young pitching in Detroit. And I think Eduardo Rodriguez, if you bring him in now, once again, the biggest part of this isn't exactly the dollar number. It's the years. I think 5 years. That's a long time because eventually you are going to have to start paying some of these younger players if they start doing their thing. But I do like this pickup. And I think the Tigers look around. And now, look, obviously you have the White Sox, but second place is kind of up for grabs in that division. I think they finished third. They played pretty well this year. I mean, they're still not a very good baseball team, but all things considered, I feel like they had a good season, definitely better than they did last year and the year before. So they are improving. Once again, it's not my money, but $77 million, a lot of money to give to a guy that in my mind, I don't think is a top 2 starter. But once again, we'll see how that goes. Another very interesting signing. Now, look, I'm not terribly surprised that Justin Verlander remains in Houston because I didn't think there would be a humongous market for him. Look, everyone would want Justin Verlander, but at the price he was available at, I don't think so. The Astros paying Justin Verlander $66 million over the next 2 years, similar to Syndergaard. This is Justin Verlander who's only pitched 2 innings. I'm sorry, I think I might have said 2 innings for Syndergaard. It's actually 6 innings for Syndergaard. Oh, no, I have that backwards. I apologize. Let me back this up. Verlander pitched 6 innings, I believe, the opener of last year's opening day, or at least his first start of the 2020 season. I think it was in July. Went 6 innings and then didn't pitch the rest of the year. Remember that situation where it came out, oh, he has a bad rotator cuff. He goes, no, I don't. I just have a sore shoulder. 3 days later, it came out he's out for the year with a bad rotator cuff. And he missed all of last year, missed all of this year, and most expect him to miss most of next year. But that did not stop the Houston Astros from signing him up for a 2-year, $66 million contract. Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the Dirty Astros bringing back one of their, I guess, chief villains, if you will?
You got to hand it to them, though. They are loyal.
They can't let their trade secrets get out, though. It might be a situation. It's kind of like North Korea, right? You can't let those people leave and tell the world what's actually going on there. You can't let Justin Verlander leave Houston and let everyone know how the perfect way to steal the signs. But no, I'm mainly just kidding. But yeah, they are loyal. And look, at the end of the day, Justin Verlander, when he was healthy, the last time he pitched a full season, he won the Cy Young. So while he is getting older in age, he's dealing with health issues. This is a team, the Houston Astros, that I think they have enough there. And if they can get a healthy Justin Verlander, they will be happy there. Once again, $33 million a year. That is a lot for me, but once again, not my money. So moving on to the awards, as we had the 4 big awards being handed out this week. We will start with the Rookie of the Year. We'll start in the National League. Not really a huge surprise here. It was Jonathan India, who had a fantastic year for the Cincinnati Reds. Hit 21 homers, hit 270. Fantastic. For a kid who I think he was the 5th overall pick out of Florida a few years back. And for the Cincinnati Reds, they were on a run, I want to say about mid-season, where they actually got rolling. And then I think we're in the playoff hunt with the Padres for a little bit. And that was before the Cardinals did their thing. And then the Padres and Reds both, went down fast. But anyway, so this was a kid who was a part of that kind of resurgence. Great lineup in Cincinnati. Pitching needs to improve, but Jonathan India wins Rookie of the Year. Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the Cincinnati second baseman?
I mean, I did get to see him like in person when they were playing the Cubs. I mean, he didn't, to be fair, that game was just a mess. And it really, the only score for the Cubs for the longest time was a home run. And then it happened with the Reds, but it wasn't India. But he did get on base, I think, the majority of that game. So, I mean, kudos to him. And who knows, maybe the Reds will win the Central at some point. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they get that pitching cleaned up. They're going to need some help from other teams struggling. I think St. Louis and Milwaukee are both better than them right now on paper. We'll see how the offseason goes, but I think there's definitely something to build on for the Reds, especially with Jonathan India, one of their highest, ranked prospects in quite some time coming through. On the American League side, this was an interesting one for me. You got Randy Arozarena, and this is a kid who not only he debuted back in 2019 for the St. Louis Cardinals, actually played 19 games. And then obviously last year in the postseason, he actually played a total of 23 games in the regular season, not to mention the postseason. Yet he is still Rookie of the Year eligible. Anyways, he wins Rookie of the Year. Not a huge surprise. He hits 20 homers, hits 275, and has an OPS of 815. Once again, congratulations to Randy Arozarena. I guess you're Rookie of the Year, but when you set the record for the most postseason home runs, or most home runs in a postseason, the year before you're considered a Rookie of the Year, I don't know. It just doesn't seem exactly what you would expect, but it's more prorated on the at-bats and the games you play rather than actually if you came up. But anyways, Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Randy Arozarena winning American League Rookie of the Year.
I mean, well, first, that whole thing does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
If he debuted 2 years ago, why is he Rookie of the Year now? I will never have an answer for what MLB does. I mean, why do you think I chose Arozarena for my fantasy team?
Yeah. I had him on my team.
That's all I need to say.
Yeah. He had a great year. He's someone that brings a lot of energy to that team. And obviously, as we get further down the next award obviously stays in Tampa Bay as well. And I think Randy Arozarena was a big reason why that happened. And, for Arozarena and like mainly Major League Baseball, obviously, like I said, I think it's a plate appearance situation, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. And a lot of it is based on the arbitration, the financial side of things. It's so that they could say technically Randy Arozarena is still a rookie right now and will still have to be paid the rookie minimum. Once again, it's just, and hey, you know what? That is something in 11 days might be on the docket for the new collective bargaining agreement, because I can't imagine Randy Arozarena is I'm sure he's excited to win Rookie of the Year, but he's also got to look around going, I've been in the league for pretty much 3 years. So someone can please recognize that. But anyways, Randy Arozarena, congratulations, Rookie of the Year. Not a huge surprise. He was the heavy favorite going into it for obvious reasons. But moving on to Manager of the Year, and I think the biggest no-brainer award, actually the second biggest no-brainer award of the award season, was the National League Manager of the Year. It was Gabe Kapler. Look, there were plenty of good managers. Brian Snitker, obviously what he did in Atlanta, even what we saw in Milwaukee with Craig Counsell, fantastic, but nobody could touch what Gabe Kapler did, taking a Team in the San Francisco Giants that missed last year's playoffs, even with 8 teams making it all the way up to leading Major League Baseball in wins. Obviously couldn't get it done against the Dodgers, but that's more of a seeding problem than anything else. But Bryanna, I don't think so, but you have any problems with Gabe Kapler winning Manager of the Year?
Nope, I think it was kind of expected before the postseason was going to happen, just based on what we were seeing. They didn't lead the West, I think, for what, 2 games? But they led the rest of the year.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, this was a no-brainer.
Yeah. Like I said, this was one, there's no drama. And once again, we'll get to another one that I don't care what anybody says. It was set in stone back in back in August. Yep. And yeah. Anyways, so this was the second most obvious award going out there. The American League side, I have a bit of an issue with. It does go to Kevin Cash, obviously Tampa Bay's fantastic manager. Game 6 notwithstanding of the 2020 World Series. He wins Manager of the Year, leading the Rays to the best record in the American League. Really after losing, obviously Blake Snell and a couple other big pieces. My biggest problem, though, I'm sorry, I really feel Scott Service deserved this award. The manager of the Seattle Mariners, for a team that went through all their BS in the offseason, all the craziness, and the drama of a team that was, let's face it, they were probably tanking, dealt with all that and was within a game. I think they only were 1 game out of a playoff spot.
It went to the last day.
Yeah, it was.
It was final before that last game too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what a fantastic run for him. Unfortunately, Kevin Cash does get the award. Not unfortunately, I shouldn't say it like that, but I don't agree with it. But Kevin Cash does get the Manager of the Year award. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Do you believe Kevin Cash deserves this one today?
I mean, yes, they had the most victory, like the most wins in the American League, but no, I don't think he deserves it. I think it should have gone to the Mariners coach, because look, some spark got lit up in the offseason, and they were in second in the American League West, and nobody thought that they were even going to compete with the dirty cheaters. And they went to the last game, really. So, I mean, it really should have gone to Seattle, but it is what it is. You can't change it.
Yeah, it was a great run for the Mariners. They can build on this with one of the best young, prospect pools in all of baseball. And of course, one of our listeners, Tim Chad, I'll always give him dap. He was always talking about how the Mariners were going to be good. I expected a year or two, but he said they were right on schedule, and he was right. So big shout out there. But for Kevin Cash, congratulations. I will say, look, Alex Cora not even being a finalist. Look, this was a Red Sox team last year that was, I think, the second worst team in all of the American League. And then this year they go on and, look, they make it to the American League Championship Series. I thought he at least should have been considered a finalist. Not the case, but then again, you do have to think about it. He is a dirty cheater as well. So no sympathy here. Moving on to the Cy Young voting. This is where I think the Cy Young this year on both sides were as wide open as we've ever seen it, mainly because we didn't have to see Jacob deGrom, because early on in the year, it looked like if Jacob deGrom was going to be healthy, that would have been the dominant or the easy pick there. But in the National League, it is Corbin Burnes who gets the nod, the Milwaukee hurler. This was very interesting to me because you had Corbin Burnes, Max Scherzer, and oh my goodness, why am I blanking on the other? Anyways, I'm sorry. There were 3 finalists. I don't know why I'm blanking on him. It wasn't Bueller. Anyways, so Corbin Burnes wins it. Corbin Burnes had the best ERA in all of baseball, obviously the best whip. However, only 160 innings pitched, I believe, which was far and away less than all the other, kind of contenders for the award. However, I think the voters came out and said, you know what, we're not worried about that. We know the way baseball goes these days. No one's going 8 innings. 200 innings in baseball is no longer the benchmark. And I believe that they decided that Corbin Burnes was the best pitcher in all of baseball, even with a low innings pitch total. I agree with it. I saw Corbin Burns in person when he pitched for the Padres or against the Padres. The guy was nasty. He's as good as it gets. I'm happy for him. Congratulations. And then, hey, it's not Max Scherzer or a Dirty Dodger who gets the award. So that always is good for me. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts on Corbin Burns winning National League Cy Young for 2021?
Going to Scherzer for a second, he wasn't with the Dodgers the entire year.
But
So you can't.
still, when it
Okay.
mattered most, he's a Dirty Dodger.
Okay, then. I mean, congrats to Burns. Like, he definitely deserved it, especially with how that Milwaukee bullpen was, like, pitching staff was. Like, they were probably one of the best in the National League in pitching staffs, and he was able to just come through. So, I mean, again, congrats to him. And I believe this is his first.
Yes. And it was Zach Wheeler was the other finalist, just to cover my own bases there. But yeah, so Zach Wheeler obviously missed out on that one. But once again, I think Corbin Burns deserves it. And this is for the pitch or for the voting now for these awards. I think there's a line in the sand that says, for the Cy Young, you don't need to pitch 200 innings for us to get our attention. So good for Corbin. Moving on to the American League.
Yeah, if you look at the American League, he only pitched 193 and a third.
Yeah.
He didn't even pitch 200.
Yeah, same thing there. Yeah. But yeah, it is going to be Robbie Ray, the getting the job done. I believe it's Toronto. I didn't put the name down, but Toronto Blue Jays. What a turnaround we've had. This is kind of the Lucas Giolito turnaround that we saw from a few years ago. Robbie Ray was, a cast off. He was pitching, I believe, with Arizona last time I remember, and he was pretty mediocre there. Signed on with the Blue Jays and turned it around. Big time lefty, got the job done, especially in a tough place to pitch. Well, I know now at least half of the season they played, I think, in the Rogers Center post July. But before that, so the Rogers Center is kind of tough. It's a bit of a bandbox there. Ball flies out in that dome. So got the job done. Congratulations to Robbie Ray. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Robbie Ray winning American League Cy Young.
I mean, if you can have 248 strikeouts and an ERA of 284, you're in good shape.
In the American League too.
Yeah, and I believe that obviously another Blue Jay didn't get the award, and we absolutely know why in the next category. But I mean, the Blue Jays definitely deserved something in the offseason, in the postseason awards. So I'm glad it was this.
Yeah. Because with all due respect to Vlad Jr., he had no chance. But yeah, it was. And then, you could even make the case the manager of the year could have possibly gone up there. But, I don't think that would have been, that would have been a bit of a stretch. But yeah, for Robbie Ray, I think turning his career around, and I believe Robbie Ray is a free agent. If I could be, I might be mistaken there. But anyways, congratulations to Robbie Ray. He, either way, a great offseason waits for him. Hopefully we'll get baseball back as soon as possible, and we'll get him back on the mound to defend his Cy Young. So moving on to the big one, of course, it is the most valuable player. The National League was pretty up for grabs between two players. With all due respect to my boy Fernando Tatis Jr., he had absolutely no chance of winning this after his kind of slow meltdown, or at least struggles towards the end, as like most of the Padres. But it does go to Bryce Harper. Juan Soto was second place, Fernando Tatis third. Bryce Harper, this is a guy who didn't even make the All-Star team back in July, and now wins MVP. August and September, he was arguably the hottest hitter in all of baseball. Juan Soto is probably the only one that could say he was hotter. It came down to those two. They've decided Bryce Harper gets the nod there. Bryanna, I know you were a little not confused. You didn't agree with the decision. What are your thoughts? National League most valuable player to Bryce Harper.
I mean, obviously I wouldn't have said Tatis, but I thought you were going to have some choice words there. I mean, the American League, if this person didn't win it, I would have had some choice words. I think you would have too.
Oh man, we would have rioted.
Oh, I think everybody would have at that one. But I mean, Juan Soto, I think, did have a better year, but I guess it only comes up to like those last few months. But it is what it is. You can't change it.
Well, I do think, this was the first time, I believe, ever, or at least in quite some time, that all six finalists, so you had three from the American League, three from the National League, that all six finalists missed out on the postseason. Every single finalist for the MVP did not make the postseason. And it used to normally be, I remember the 1998 home run chase. The reason Mark McGwire won the MVP over Sammy Sosa wasn't because he hit four more home runs than him. It was because the Cardinals made the playoffs and the Cubs. Actually, I got to take that back. I believe the Cubs made the playoffs that year, but one of those teams made the playoffs, and whichever team made the playoffs, they won MVP. That was always kind of the I guess tiebreaker, if you will. Well, which team did better? And obviously this year that wasn't the case, at least in terms of the playoffs, but it may have been overall because the Phillies at least were somewhat contending over the last few weeks, as opposed to the Nationals, who were pretty much done and dusted by then. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't have had any problem with Soto winning. I did think Bryce Harper was going to win. If Soto would have got it done, I would not have had any problem with that as well. And then, look, for Tatis, I love Tatis. I'm always going to be biased and lean his way. But even with that being said, didn't deserve it this year. He'll get his eventually, more than likely. But this year wasn't to be. Back to the drawing board. He's got to finish out these 162 game seasons before he can think about an MVP or something like that. So not the end of the world. And then same thing for Juan Soto. I really do expect Juan Soto to be fighting for an MVP down the road, probably get multiple by himself. So moving on to the American League MVP, aka the obvious pick, aka
Unanimous
pick didn't go. Yeah, unanimous. If this didn't, honestly, if it wasn't unanimous, I think we still would have rioted, because that's still missing the point of this. But as there is absolutely no surprise that the American League MVP is Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to give the floor to you, Bryanna. You obviously got a chance to see him all season as an Angel fan. But what are your thoughts? Shohei Ohtani obviously winning American League MVP.
Well, I did get to see him in person a few years ago at Dodger Stadium. But, I mean, he's the first Angel since 2004, other than Mike Trout, to win an MVP. I mean, look, Mike Trout's won it like 3 times since 2004? I don't know. But, I mean, he's the first one to do it. He's also a silver slug. Ohtani's also a silver slugger. He's only the second, I guess, Japanese born to get the silver slugger. So, I mean, he's accomplished so much. He's the first two-way player really since Babe Ruth. And he was healthy all year, which worked out for us. But can you please get him to make a postseason? Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, there's those memes out there that bring up the fact that the Angels have 4 MVP awards in the last since 2010 and 0 postseason victories, or at least postseason series victories. So
maybe Syndergaard can change that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a step in the right direction. Obviously, I think you brought up the biggest problem, or the biggest thing. It was the health. Because I'll say this right now, if Shohei Ohtani is healthy for the next 5, 6, 7 years, no one has a chance at this award. I said it back, in August, or, he could hit 260 with 25 home runs and 80 RBIs and then win 10 games on the mound and have an ERA of 4. And he's still MVP. He is the most valuable player in baseball. If he can do both of those things, even at a average clip, he is still the most valuable player in baseball. So I don't, with, like I said, with all due respect to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., all of those fantastic players in the American League, unless they split Shohei Ohtani into Shohei Ohtani the batter and Shohei Ohtani the pitcher, 2 separate entities, no one's winning the American League if Shohei Ohtani's healthy. And I think that's kind of cool. I mean, obviously, like Bryanna said, I'm sure she thinks it's cool, but it'd be a lot cooler if he had a MVP in this hand and a World Series, or at least some trophy in the other hand, team related, in his left hand. But for Shohei, congratulations to him. I think we've said it all year, and I've kind of been saying it from the mountaintop that just enjoy this. I hope Shohei Ohtani does this for another 20 years. And there's someone behind him that keeps doing it and doing it. But I don't think that's the case. So just enjoy this right now. Enjoy what you're seeing from Shohei Ohtani, because it's special. And I don't know if we're ever going to see it again. I really, really don't. So I am so glad they didn't screw this up, because I'm not going to lie. I thought they were going to screw this up. I thought that somehow, some way, they were going to say, you know what? Shohei Ohtani is a batter. Shohei Ohtani is a pitcher, but he can't be both in the MVP idea. But they didn't do that. I know Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is baseball royalty because of his father. However, which ironically enough, I feel like you brought up, he's the first MVP since 2004, not named Mike Trout. Wasn't 2004, was that Vladimir Guerrero Sr. winning MVP for the Angels?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
And I mean, kudos to Guerrero for even like keeping up with Ohtani
yeah.
in the home run department.
Yeah. Well, and the only way Vladimir Guerrero wins MVP or anyone else is if he learns.
04 was Guerrero.
Yeah, so there you go. So there it kind of comes full circle. It all kind of just dawned on me right there as I was spitting out that word vomit. But it came full circle, and the only way Vladimir Guerrero or any of these other guys are able to catch Shohei Ohtani is if they learn a hell of a fastball and a hell of a curveball, because you're not going to compete with a guy who can do both things on the diamond. But once again, congratulations, Shohei, more than deserves the MVP award. And I'll echo what Bryanna says. Give him some help. Give him some help. We need more than Syndergaard.
And if he didn't win this, the entire nation would have just gone off. Even Astro fans, Dodger fans, Yankee fans, they would have been like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think even the most staunch Vladimir Guerrero Jr. lovers would have admitted. I'll say this right now: if you take Fernando Tatis Jr. and you put him in the American League with those numbers, and I'm a big a fan as Vladimir Guerrero, or I'm sorry, as Fernando Tatis as I am right now, I would still sit here and say no, he doesn't deserve it, but he didn't win it. Yeah, he didn't win it. Vladimir Guerrero 100% deserves it. However, he didn't win it because there was someone better. There's no problem being the second best player in your league. Maybe the second best player in all of baseball. So, because I do think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. probably would have won the National League most valuable player had it been in the National League. But horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. So with that is all we have for you here on this edition of the Changeup. Bryanna, any final thoughts before we kick it out?
Just that MLB, you made the right call for American League, because everybody would have just charged straight to your office if you got this one wrong.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were saying it pretty much since May, that he was going to win it because of what he was doing. He was leading MLB in home runs at the time, and he was healthy and pitching.
Yeah. I feel like after, maybe we had our like post All-Star game recap, I vividly remember saying if Shohei Ohtani shuts it down right now, he is still the American League most valuable player. And that was with 2.5 months left to play. So that kind of tells you the season he had. And I agree. Nobody deserves it more than Shohei Ohtani, who, really did something we haven't seen since the 1920s. And even when we saw it in the 1920s, it was not nearly this impressive. But with that, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It is time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Take care.